do believe we're going live. Alright, cool. I had to make sure that it was gonna pop up on my monitor. So, hello friends, good afternoon. This is Coach Emily back at y'all with a slightly different stream than usual. We are going to change gears today and we are going to do some VOD review. And I'm going to show y'all some tools that I utilize a lot for Learning League and for Coaching League. So it's a little bit of both. What we're going to be going over specifically is I've pulled out some high-level support VODs. I'm going to focus on the laning stages of those VODs today. But it's going to should be good. If at any time anyone has any questions, please feel free to throw them in Twitch chat and we can go back and we can go over things again. And yeah, we'll get started. Give me just a moment. I'm actually going to screen share my whole screen, which is something a little bit different, but it should work. So we'll see how this goes. I use a tool called Epic Pen that's going to let me write on the screen, so I can point out and highlight some things a little bit more in depth. So in order to do that, I think I'm going to need to capture the whole thing. Alrighty, cool. So this YouTube channel here is called Challenger Replays. If you are looking to learn a new champion or learn a new role, this is something that I greatly recommend. This is going to be high-low players across all servers, playing the champions that they may be known best for. I find these to be maybe a little bit more helpful in some aspects than watching streams. A lot of times in streams, players are going to cover their maps because high-low players are going to get Q-sniped. So in order to prevent Q-sniping, players are just going to play with usually their webcam window over their map, or kind of anything else to cover it. So it is really helpful to be able to see mini maps to when you're coaching or when you're looking at something critically, so you can see map movement. So if there's a champion that you are here, we'll go to videos. If there's a champion you're looking to learn, say you really want to you really want to pick up Shaco support. That's something you'll be able to find on a YouTube channel like this. And it's going to be Grandmaster players. It's also going to have the patch. So the patch is pretty important when it comes to looking at different build paths, also looking at runes and itemization. So it's going to be really helpful to have that information available to you. That's not always going to be info that's available when you are watching pro streams. So I have pulled up quite a few different options, depending on kind of what y'all out there in Twitch chat might be looking for. So I'll toss you some options. We have an option for stunner support into Leona. Also, just a heads up, all these VODs are from the last 3 days. So we've got Senna support into Leona, we have Bard support into Rel, we have Janna support into Fresh, Nami support into Fresh, which is going to be one of the more popular picks this patch, and then Sona support into Senna. The thing that I find kind of the most interesting about this Sona support into Senna VOD is that this is actually a Challenger Sona one trick. So another thing to kind of think about is when you are learning a new champion, one of the things that you might want to look for is a high-low one trick, because they're going to know every single one of their matchups the best they kind of possibly can. Those are the people that kind of I would trust for matchup knowledge. Maybe not necessarily game knowledge, but they're going to know their matchups better than anyone else. Aatrox support is the best support. I'm a firm believer in anything as a support if you're brave enough, but please do not take that into ranked. Aatrox support, I think, is okay. I think he's probably a little bit gold dependent to be super excellent right now, but certainly something to think about. I also did pull 2 pro stream VODs that we could also potentially take a look at. So this is Tremby, he plays for Rogue. And this is another pro VOD. This is from, I believe, these are, this particular player plays in the equivalent of Academy in Europe. So there are some options. I don't know if anyone in Twitch chat has a preference, but I'll give it just a little bit of time before I just make an executive decision. I really like both of these matchups into Thresh. So give me just a moment. There we go. Okay. So the other thing is, yes, I use a tool called Epic Pen. And in addition to using Epic Pen, I am using just a tablet, the kind of tablet that people would normally use to play Osu. Is the kind of tablet that I am using to write on because my handwriting gets kind of gross if I have to write with my mouse. So, just some quick tools for y'all. Alright, so the nice thing about this also is that the Challenger solo queue VODs are broken down into different parts of the game. We're probably only going to go through lane phase. So, one of the things that's going to be important when you look at doing review is kind of thinking about how all of these matchups go. We're going to be pretty bot lane focused, so we are going to talk about the bot lane. So, we have... Ooh, that's... we can't see that. We'll choose a different color. There we go. So, we have Varus Nami into Jinx Thresh, right? Varus has taken Hail of Blades, so this is more likely to be on hit or attack speed Varus than poke Varus. Poke Varus is usually going to run Arcane Comment, right? Oh, that's rad. It shows bans as well. Okay. So, Jinx right now is a really strong hyper carry. Varus also plays in such a way, right, especially with attack speed, where both of these ADCs really want to scale. So their win con is to scale, and if they can get ahead in the early game, that's what they're going to do. But they're playing this game to scale. Nami and Thresh have some pretty interesting lane interactions. So Nami's going to be able to play for her range, right? You also have really good sustain. And into a melee matchup like this, you can even play to poke, but you have to play carefully if you're going to want to walk up and poke into Thresh, because Jinx has the range advantage with her rockets, right? So Varus has his Q, right? But that only gets him so far, and it's a drain on his mana pool. So what you're going to want to do, if you're the Nami player in this matchup, you want to create space. Create space and also create pressure in your lane. The other thing is that your jungler is going to look to be a little bit more active early. So, in terms of who gets priority in this matchup, because that's another thing that you're going to want to be mindful of, especially if you have a fairly active early game jungler, is what your priority is going to look like. So what do you want to do with the wave? So something to keep in mind and something that we'll keep an eye on as we go through this VOD. But also, what is Thresh's kind of role here? So especially, we're just talking about lane phase, just talking about early game right now. So anytime Thresh's hook is off cooldown, that is that's it here. We're gonna go threat. So his threat level when his hook is up, Q up means threat level is up, right? Q down means threat level is down. So that potential to hook, that potential to engage is huge. That is always going to be a threat to this Nami and to this Varus. Varus is very immobile. Well, here, we'll write on the Varus. So Jinx is immobile as well, which makes Nami bubble a threat. But Jinx has follow-up CC, right? Varus does not. So, hook. So, hook, flay, and then into Jinx trap. That is going to be an automatic kill onto whoever they catch, if it's Nami, if it's Varus. So, these are all things to keep pretty well in mind as we play the lane. I'm going to now erase what I've written all over my screen so we can actually see the VOD when it runs. Does anyone have any questions so far? Again, please feel free to stop me at any point in time, and we will we can talk about it. Okay, so we're going to take a quick look at what runes this particular... So, again, this is focused on the Nami side of the matchup. That's, like, what we're going to be seeing. So, adaptive, and armor. Cool. That's pretty standard. Domination tree is decent. Ghost Pro is good. All of these runes look pretty standard overall. The other thing to keep in mind is that Thresh is running Aftershock instead of Guardian. So when Thresh first hits his hook, trading into this Thresh is going to be harder. So usually when you're laning into a champion that has hook, so think Thresh, think Pike, Blitzcrank, and Nautilus. So if you get hit by a hook, as the support player, what your AD carry is probably going to do is they're probably going to focus the enemy ADC. And also if your ADC gets hooked, your job is kind of to focus the enemy ADC. Because at a certain point, the support's just not going to do, not really going to do anything. Unless it's, say, like a half health Pike. I think Pike is kind of the squishiest option in here. Blitzcrank maybe. But kind of, you're probably not going to pick up a kill on the enemy laner that's landed the hook, right? Like, most of these champions are pretty beefy. So what you're going to be looking to do as the non-hooked party, as the party that is still active, is you are going to want to focus out the enemy damage dealer. In this case, the AD, but also if you're like a mid laner playing around a gank as well. There's something to think about, kind of who you're hitting, right? So you want to hit the damage dealer. You want to prevent the damage dealer from getting free damage off. Again, Jinx is a champion that just kind of exists to get free damage off. So with Thresh running Aftershock, you're, especially if his Aftershock is up, you're really a lot less likely to get the kill off on him if he lands the hook and you focus him. So anytime this Thresh lands hook, for the most part, unless he's low, you are going to, in every situation, want to focus the enemy damage dealer. Cool. Again, please feel free to stop me if you have questions. as I erase my markings on the screen so again we can see the VOD. Alright, red. Alright, I'm just gonna skip forward a bit. Oh, this is nice as well. So, they are showing us build order ahead of time, which is cool. Alright. So, in looking at how they start on the map, this looks like we are a little bit concerned about a bot side invade, which makes sense. So, ooh. Oh no, that's fine. All right, cool. I fixed it. So a little bit concerned about bot side invade, right? So when looking at their champions versus ours, their level 1 is going to be pretty strong. So Thresh is going to start either hook or flay, so Q or E, depending. And then looking at Lucian, so Lucian's passive is a big source of damage early in the game, especially because with his passive he can really easily proc his press the attack, right? And then Malphite, especially running Comet like this, he's just going to be able to like throw cheese wheels at you, which do, especially early with this Comet, do quite a bit of damage. And then looking at Echo, he has fairly decent invade potential when coupled with kind of the rest of his team, right? The other thing is that Jinx is pretty safe to invade with because she has nice long range, whereas our invade pressure is just, it's not excellent. The most that we can maybe look to get is maybe a deep ward with the threat of like a Varus Q, but you're always going to need to be concerned about this Thresh. Hey, I try my best. Thanks, Appy. So the other thing to note here is that our jungler picked up a pixel ward here. And he is, oh, we can't see his items. So he is going to swap to red trinket now. So he is going to be able to have a sweeper to spot out any early wards. So he is going to be, hopefully, looking for an early gank. This is ideal. This is ideal for you. The thing is, if Zen is going to be looking to gank early, what we're going to want to do for the most part is give up some priority in this lane. So Varus is an easy lane to play around and to give resources to. Now, it's also thinking about how much gank assist we have. So what can we do to help Zen get in? Because Zen has a gap closer and he's got a little bit of CC, but he's going to need some help to get these ganks off and to make them super, super efficient. So we have Nami Q and we have damage. Also, we have Nami passive. So Q and passive. Passive, Nami grants move speed anytime she hits an allied champion with an ability. So that is, you miss your Q and you hit your allies, which, fun fact, if you are playing Nami, that is like a semi-valid strat. If you are looking to throw a bubble in a team fight and you aren't sure it's going to land, also you can attempt to like throw your bubble onto your allies because it will speed them up. But also her W and her E are both, they both apply her passive as well, so they make other people go fast, right? So we have a little bit of gank assist here. What we're gonna look for is it's probably gonna be some like chip damage from Varus and chip damage from Nami. So if they're low, they're gankable, right? Because consider Jinx is low mobility. She is relying on Lantern a lot of the time to keep her safe. Lantern is, you know, your quick escape button if things are going wrong. But Lantern has a long cooldown. Lantern has like a 20-second cooldown early, right? So, the other thing is we have Thresh for Gank Assist. So, Thresh, again, Hook Flay. That's a lot of CC. That's a lot of Gank Assist. And then Echo has a lot more built-in Gank Assist. So he has Gap Close, and he has CC. So he's got a slow in his kit, and he's got conditional stun could also be a slow in his kit, right? So thinking about kind of the gank threat on both sides here. Again, please stop me at any point in time if you have questions. I'm gonna keep throwing that out to y'all. That if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them. Also, please let me know if I'm going too fast and if I am being unclear. So, with all of that still in mind, I'm gonna clear my notes here so we can move into lane phase. Alright. Oh, there's one more smudge. Alright. Cool. Alright. So again, we're a little bit guarded against an invade here. I'm gonna skip forward. Alright. So we have what this pixel ward is kind of meant to do. There we go. So, we know that we're concerned about an invade coming from here. I'm going to draw. I'm going to draw on the map. So, we're concerned about an invade coming here in this direction. So, we throw this ward down in pixel, right? So, the Lucian on his own isn't a huge threat, but he has the ability to get some decent burst damage off. Because even keeping in mind that this Lucian, he is level 1, he does have a pretty decent threat in terms of burst. He's got press the attack, he's got his passive. So he is going to be able to proc the press the attack and do some decent damage. However, again, this pixel ward is doing his job. You love to see it. This Nami did not take mana flow, I don't believe. I don't think she did. Oh no, she did. I can see it right here. So she does have the chance to kind of really carefully. This is also kind of risky because this is all dark, right? We don't know where Thresh is. We also don't know where Echo is. Both of those pretty solid damage set at this stage in the game. But she can carefully walk up and she can, so yeah, she started W. So she can look to mana flow. And also 20 gold from her support item. Which isn't a lot. Lucian's probably gonna have regened all of the health he will lose from getting W'd here. But the other thing to consider is I have to erase a little bit because we can't see it on the map. There we go. So the Trist has pinged it out that this is happening. Which is awesome because now we have more of a 2v1 scenario. Zen is not too far behind, but also consider it's ultra early in the game. No one has boots, so it's gonna take both Zen and Varus a little bit longer to rotate. But Trista's right here, right? So this is the chance to get some decent damage off pre-level 1. Can I? Oh! Okay, cool. I figured out how to clear all of my notes without scribbling. We're good. Alright, so now that we've called everyone into this location, this is a really good threat. However, oh, that's that. Okay. Right. So, the ward that's right here. If everyone reacts, they did have the chance to pick up this ward here. It's just, when you consider, like, optimal play, it's just a question of what's 100% optimal. Being able to pick up a ward like that is plus XP, is plus gold. Not a lot, but again, ultra early in the game. Being able to pick up like an extra 10 gold, ideal. But again, it comes down to like optimal, right? and also pressure. So a ward like that, what a ward like that is going to do, it's so now that Xin knows it's there, he's not going to walk over it, right? But it's a question of if he's not using this pathway at all, or if he chooses not to use this pathway at all, or if he chooses to put his sweeper on cooldown to clear this, it's knowing that the pressure is there. So the ward that's here won't see him on this raptor camp, but it will see him if he chooses to path this way at any point. So if that's, you know, looking to invade, also if that's looking to move this way to kind of cross through mid. Rad. Alright. So, bot lane is going to be leashing. So leashing is not always super ideal. I find, especially like a jungler like Xin could probably clear this himself. It's going to speed up his clear and get him more active on the map, which is something that you'd like to see, but also in terms of not having the most ideal position in this lane early, that's kind of where you're put. So you do lose some early pressure, but they're not going to miss anything for it. It's also important to, I should have paused this because I'm still talking. So it's important to note that you should leave a leash no later than 138. This is going to make sure that you are in lane on time to be able to get all 3 of the first melees. The only time this kind of isn't the case is if the enemy laners manipulate your wave at the start of the game, in which case it will leave one of the melees too low and it will die sooner. But that's if they drag the aggro from your wave onto theirs, kind of in the most optimal way. The other thing to note is that Thresh has the support item that will let him execute minions. So they're always going to, or not always, but especially early, they're going to push faster because of it. They're also going to be able to push more safely because Jinx has rockets. So Jinx rockets give her additional range and AoE. Now, them pushing here is not the worst thing, and is not something that necessarily puts this Nami Varus lane in a bad position. And so Xin is going to be clearing top to bot. He's going to look to get his first gank off top side. If Xin had started blue here, this would have been actually really great because this lane is now pushing in, sets him up for a really early gank. However, Xin's on the other side of the map at this point. So playing around your junglers in solo queue, it can be a little bit more difficult. But we're focusing on lane here. So with Jinx Thresh, their level 2 power spike is huge. Oh, that's sorry, there's a lot of things going on. I'm gonna clear this again. There we go. So Jinx Thresh, level 2 power spike. Level 2 is huge for them. So level 2 is when Thresh can hook Flay, and level 2 is when Jinx can follow up with traps. Whereas level 2 for Nami Varus, they're going to be able to get a little bit better of a push, but not the best. And then, yeah, Nami, it's even kind of dependent in this lane. In this lane, I would personally take Bubble second, probably, to help kind of negate Thresh. Because if you, like, throw your bubble over yourself when you get hooked in, it's going to help mitigate some of the threat from Thresh Flay. But the level 2 on Thresh Jinx is a colossal threat. and with them having Relic, it's going to put them in a like better position to get that level 2. So, especially because Varus Nami had to leash, it puts them in a much less ideal and much more dangerous position. But we'll see how it plays out. Oh, there we go. Alright. So, the other thing about being pushed in this situation is that Thresh gets the ability to play from this bush, right? And so Thresh, with all of his hook pressure, it's kind of important for him to play from this bush because his hook animation is long. And it can be pretty telegraphed unless you're like an excellent Thresh player. But if you are playing from the bush, that gives you a smoke screen. You can play as telegraphed as you want because they can't see you. They can't see you if you're sitting in this bush. So something to keep in mind. And again, if they're playing from this bush and either Varus or Nami has to burn their yellow trinket to ward this bush, that means that there is not a ward over here, there's not a ward over here, there's not a ward behind them. Makes them really quite vulnerable to either being dove or ganked. If they've burned a ward here, put the ward on cooldown. It gives more of a window for a jungler to come in. But it gives more of a window to play around their lane because they have had to sacrifice a ward to throw a ward in a lane bush. Oh, no, that's a really good question, Abby. So the question was, how do you know when as a support to auto minions? That is a phenomenal question. Here, I'm gonna write and talk. Actually, there we go. My pen bugged for a second. So, if you're helping an ADC to CS under tower early, as an ADC farming under tower early, so this is all going to be for full health minions. So under tower, melees take 2 tower shots. 2 tower shots, and that's just 1 ADC auto. And the melees are going to die. For ranged, it's going to be 1 tower, 1 support auto, and then 1 ADC auto. That's ultra early game. That's going to be when your ADC has like less than 2 long swords. Yeah, I think it's all ADCs. It'll be less than 2 long swords. So that's like Noon Quiver as well. Most ADCs, that's kind of what they're building into first. But also the ones that don't, I think, pick up something with 2 long swords. This is also like pickaxe. But also, if you are in a lane, right here, we're gonna toss this again. So if you're in a lane that's really volatile early, as a support, so this Nami could be helping Varus push the wave. Again, it's kind of, are they deciding to let this push in? Which, in this situation, is kind of, yeah. But again, if you're playing against, I keep circling the bubbles, because that's the, like, visual proc for Relic Steel Shoulder Guards, which are the, like, minion execute item. So if you're playing without the support execute item, and you're playing into a lane that has a really volatile level 2, you can help push early. So help push, there we go, at level 1. But also anytime you're trying to get a wave in. So if you're trying to get this wave to crash the tower to reset, supports can help help by autoing the wave. I wouldn't use mana on the wave. I wouldn't burn cooldowns on the wave, unless the wave is like, unless it's like 2 to 3 stacked. Then it's like okay. But what you're gonna be concerned about is like you're pushing in, you don't know where their jungler is, you're really vulnerable to ganks, so you're trying to get your wave in so you can get a back off. I personally tend to let ADCs kind of decide what they want to do with the wave and then play reactively to that. But other than that, I tend to leave the wave a lot of the time. So I hope that answers your question. But yeah, so if you're trying to, so level 2, if you are trying to crash a wave, if you are CSing under tower, and also if you are alone bot lane and you are thinning the wave so it doesn't crash as fast, or if you're taking what's gonna die anyway. Also, this is a much later in the game thing, but so super minions, when super minions are on the map, so supers take more magic damage. A lot of supports do magic damage. So if you're, for whatever reason, in like a full AD team comp, and a lot of the times it'll just take like your help to clear super minions, and at that point in time, again, totally cool to throw abilities on the wave. But that's much later in the game. Yeah, cool. That's a good question. And again, please feel free to stop me at any time if you have questions. Alright. So, I know, we were just paused. I'm pausing again. So, in order to hit level 2, here, I'll like put this up here. Level 2 is first wave, all 6, plus the 3 melees from wave 2. This is dual lane specific because you're sharing XP. So, when you are looking at this level 2 rush, we are 3 full minions worth of XP. Here. So, these 3 minions have not died yet, which means that we are 3 full minions of XP behind as this wave crashes into this tower. Also considering that, again, Thresh, huge level 2 spike, it's negated a little bit because they can't do quite as much under tower, but also Thresh has a hook. So Thresh can can pull you out from under tower. Not super far, but it is a threat, right? So Thresh knows that his combo will likely result in a blown flash on either of these two kind of immobile champions. So, again, something to think about, but we'll see how it plays out. Alright, so we've hit 2, we've equalized a little bit, but keeping in mind, in terms of the pressure that Thresh creates, he is ahead. The other thing to notice here is that Jinx does not have traps, so that's a little bit less pressure on the level 2. Alright, and so, I was talking about where if they kind of lose control over the lane here and they lose control over the bush, Thresh is immediately looking to play for this bush here. He knows that even though he is... So, here, where's my pen? There we go. So, he is all the way up here. His AD carry is all the way back here. She's actually just dropped a ward in Tribrush because they don't know where Xin is. It's good for them that it's good for this team that they don't know where Xin is, right? Like, it's really good for the blue side. That red side has no clue where this Jinx is. Actually quite ideal. Or, sorry, not Jinx. No idea where Xin is, right? So we've just had to ward for him to make sure that we stay safe. But Thresh is pretty far up here. But because Thresh has Aftershock available, he knows that even if this Nami was to walk up and like auto him 3 times with her Tide Collars, it's really not gonna hurt this man. Because he is very tanky, right? He has his Aftershock available, and he's just incredibly safe despite being pushed up really far. Alright, so now that Thresh Hook is on cooldown, immediately look at how the balance in the lane changes. So, holding on to Thresh Hook as a cooldown is a threat. Like, Q up, threat up, Q down, threat down. So, as soon as that hook goes on cooldown, it did hit, so the cooldown isn't as long. It hit something, it hit a minion. So, not as long as if the Q had missed entirely, but we now have a window. And so, through this window, Nami is going to be looking to harass Thresh and also harass the Jinx. So, Jinx is going to be a little bit harder to harass, her range is a little bit longer. She's able to stand pretty far back and farm really safely. But Thresh has a little bit shorter range. He's still technically a ranged champion despite being kind of beefy, right? So, also in order to proc Aftershock, Thresh needs to land CC. So unless Nami walks up into flay range, which is like it's probably about this much. Maybe it's this much. So Nami would have to walk up into flay range, but her auto range is longer than his flay range. So he doesn't have the protection of Aftershock to rely on. He doesn't have the threat from his hook to rely on, and she would have to be inside flay range to be in danger, danger. So this is a pretty decent trading pattern for her. The other thing to keep an eye on is going to be this cannon. Actually, our cannon too. So, especially cannon minions, and this is something that I tell my players when they're kind of learning, is to always fight over these. So never let them pick up a cannon for free. Everything, and actually every lane, but bot lane especially, everything is a transaction. So Thresh has spent his cooldown, right? He's paid for that. So is that a good choice? Is spending the cooldown and also spending your threat, kind of threat chance, is it worth it at this stage in the game? If it had hit, no. If it had hit, yes, but did it hit? No. So, especially because you have a decent wave here for them to play inside, it's a lot harder for Thresh to have and be able to use his hook pretty freely. Again, it's going to be better for their wave to be a little bit more thinned out before Thresh looks for the hook. Another thing that you'll see Thresh players do sometimes is they'll execute the minion that's between them and the enemy champion. So they'll execute this and then look to hook. I can't like draw. I was gonna draw a hook, but it didn't. So they're gonna look to execute a minion and then get the hook off for almost free before they can react. So just considering how you're using your pressure at this stage in the game, right? So Thresh comes out on kind of the low end of this transaction because he spends some of his mana bar. Granted, it'll come back, but the big thing is he spends this cooldown. So that gives the enemy bot lane a bit more of a chance to walk up and kind of trade for free, right? They're not really spending much walking up here, because no threat. There's no way to like make them pay further for expending their resources. Again, if I'm not making sense, moving too fast, or if you have additional questions, please feel free to throw them in Twitch chat. I am watching Twitch chat. Alright. So again, we walk up, we get the trade. Varus manages to walk into flay range for Thresh here. So again, Thresh playing from these bushes is kind of his job right now. So playing from outside of vision, playing from where it's going to be really safe for him to do so. Especially knowing that there's already one ward expended in this bush. So there's only, as far as they know, there's no more than one ward still available. And again, if we have to ward both of these lane bushes, that means that there's no wards up here that are going to keep them safe from ganks. Alright. So, because Thresh hit his flay, his Aftershock's on cooldown now. So, Thresh also becomes a lot squishier. This trade is pretty excellent. It's pretty, it's incredibly positive on our Nami Varus lane. So, we're getting a lot of space here. There's also, there's going to be minions that start to drop behind them. And so as those minions die out, it's going to mean lost gold and potentially, especially at this distance, lost XP. And also, yeah. So even Thresh Ignite goes down here. So the thing about Ignite is true damage. Ooh, if I could spell that would be cool. So that's true damage, but it's also grievous. So grievous wounds is going to be healing reduction. And healing reduction into a lane that has a Nami in it is really important to hold on to for when you are fairly certain you're going to get a kill. So actually we are going to, I'm going to go back just a little bit. Okay, so in this scuffle here, Jinx doesn't have the range to hit Varus here. Jinx is going to have to walk up a lot more. This is when it's going to be important that you're just kind of on the same page as your support. And I can tell you that these two players are not in comms with each other because this is a Masters Plus game and you cannot do a Q in Masters Plus. But being in comms and in call with your support with your duo lane, being able to communicate is pretty important. This is kind of when you would use pings in this situation. But Jinx is already backed up to the point where it's really hard for her to get back into this engagement. So it's really hard for her to get back into this Varus, right? She does not have the range at this stage in the game. So Thresh has burned his Ignite on a Varus that has more than 50% of his health bar, right? If this engagement had continued, if Jinx was maybe standing here instead of here, there would be a lot more potential to get this kill, right? The other thing with Ignite being the application of grievous wounds is that you want to Ignite before Varus has a chance to heal, right? Also, Nami W is still on cooldown right now. It's got a fairly long cooldown. Again, they're literally level 2, so this is a rank 1 Nami W. But still, especially at this stage in the game, that's going to be a decent amount of health return when it comes back up. So, the use of the Ignite here is just kind of, it's Thresh being overzealous. So it's going to be better to hold your summoner cooldowns, and as opposed to kind of burning them like this. Granted, it's also super early in the game, so they'll be back up, but is it going to pay off for this bot lane to have burned that summoner cooldown early? Alright, let's let it play. Oh, there we go. Let's let it play. There we go. So, it's decent damage, but we have plenty of sustain. Varus, I believe, is running Biscuits because he has Inspiration Tree. Yeah, Varus is running Biscuits. And he has a sustain support standing behind him. So it's really hard for those big trades to mean a whole lot in this lane. And again, another missed hook. So every time... Okay, let me pause this. Oh no! So every time... So every single time Thresh's Q goes down, Nami steps forward. Just every time. It's going to happen every time this lane. Also, keeping in mind, again, they're fighting because there are these two cannons alive on the map. And in their lane. Alright, cool. Alright. So, I know we've watched this fight the scuffle about 3 times already, but it's important. It's important to kind of keep an eye on. So again, keep an eye. Thresh doesn't have... So Thresh's hook is still down here. He doesn't have his hook to contest this cannon. And our kind of poke bot lane is going to have a little bit more space to keep their bot lane from contesting this cannon. To contest this cannon and to prevent the enemy bot lane from contesting this cannon. Alright. So, we are still playing around our space. Again, hook goes down, Nami walks up. That's going to be every single time this game. And we are, we're missing the threat to really starve this cannon. It's going to be back up about now, though. So they are going to give the cannon. Supports who run Relic, again, have a lot easier time picking up these cannon minions, just because they can execute them. Alright. So, up until now, let's see if we know where Echo is. Okay. So, we don't know where Echo is. We're pushed up. We don't have vision. Our Trinket Ward, let's see. So, our Trinket Ward is on cooldown, right? Varus's is just barely up. He has not had a chance to step out and put a ward here. We know that Zen is looking bot. We know that there is a Scuttle Crab live on the map. So we have Prio. So Prio is going to be lane priority. So do we have the wave pushed in? So if the wave is pushed in, we have Prio. We have priority. If the wave is pushed into us, like the wave's all the way back here, we do not have priority. So we have Prio, which means that we have the ability to walk up and hold Zen with the Scuttle if we need to. However, we do not know where Echo is. Echo is farming just a little bit faster than Zen is. He's up 1 camp. So, so Zen skipped his Krugs. They just take a long time to clear. Happens. They do grant a lot of gold, but they take some time. So we don't have Prio, but we don't know where Echo is. So we are in a dangerous position, especially as an AD carry who does not have a lot of ability available. So, we'll see if I can make this place a little bit slower. We'll go half speed for now. So, the other thing is, with Zen being on this side of the map, if a fight breaks out, it will eventually be a 3v3, but how long does it take for him to come? Alright, so, this is Jinx flash down. This is pretty good. This is a pretty good start for us. So, Jinx has no flash. And we already know Thresh has no ignite. So, we are now up 2 summoners. But also keeping in mind that Hook Flay is a huge threat. So, Thresh drops his, if Varus had not flashed here, he would have just kind of insta-died to Hook Flay, right? It doesn't matter that his heal is up, it doesn't matter that their anti-heal is down. The thing to keep in mind here, though, is that Jinx has also already dropped her traps, so they are missing a little bit of their CC, but we are still kind of at a net negative in terms of CC, especially because Nami Bubble, again, long cooldown early in the game. And also, Echo's arrived. So, we're in a dangerous, bit of a dangerous situation here. So, again, this would be a great time for our bot lane to be able to be in comms. So, Varus makes kind of just the call to sacrifice himself here. Instead of Nami playing to this gap here and looking to get Varus out, because Thresh Q is down and I think Flay is down, but I'm not 100% sure, but I think Flay is down as well. So other than Echo here, they're kind of out of CC because, again, like, trap's already down. These are going to disappear in a hot second, sorry. So we're kind of in a situation here where if she makes the decision and makes the commitment to get Varus out and to kind of shadow him out, she likely will be able to. So let's see what happens. Oh dear. Alright, no, we're good. We got this. Alright, so alright, so Varus is able to turn and pick up the first blood here, which is good. So this does, he should die here for that. So this does turn into a 1-for-1, which is a decision that you can make in this scenario. This idea of you're moving forward instead of trying to kite back and kite out. Because Jinx is low. Jinx is also flashless. At this point in time, both ADCs are flashless on the same timer. So yeah, Echo's gonna be able to gap close. So at this point, instead of just kind of like walking back and forth in here, this Nami can be all the way backed up and starting her recall. It's all kind of about efficiency of time on the map if we're making the decision to just let Varus die. However, our mid laner and our jungler are both looking. They're both looking at a flashless Jinx who is completely unprotected because no Thresh, as well as looking at Echo. So, again, decisions that can be made. We'll see how the rest of it plays out, though, because I don't know that they're going to be down here in time. They are going to be able to... They're going to be able to catch Echo, but not, I believe, not Jinx. We'll see, though. Alright, so Trist has made the decision to commit and come all the way down. The nice thing about Tristana is that she kind of permanently has prio, because Tristana, when she auto pushes, is always going to have priority. It's one of her ability passives. Causes AoE damage around minions. Now, the thing about this particular play, is we also end up dropping Nami Flash, in my opinion, kind of unnecessarily, right? So we flash to get the trade kill, but also as a support, just kind of keep in mind that you can kind of keep autoing through these situations, so you don't have to drop your summoners in order to continue cleaning up a kill. I'm gonna set this back to normal speed. Alright. And so what they're also looking to do is they're looking to make sure that the wave is in a decent spot. Follow this again. So making sure that their wave is pushing back into them. So the wave does not freeze on the enemy team's side of the map. Varus is going to be here in time to catch, should be here in time to catch it before it hits the tower. Alright. Also, really, really good for early game Nami in this situation is she did manage to pick up a kill that gave her blue buff. This is way more mana regen than she should ever have at this stage in the game. Supports having like a pre 10-minute blue buff from just kind of like a picked up kill is going to generate a lot of pressure. So kind of an outlier situation, but definitely not a bad one. Alright, and she's finally getting her recall off. In my opinion, she took a little bit too long to get her back off here. She should have just walked up, hit the plant, dropped the ward, and just kind of insta-backed. I think she did take a little bit too much time there. And so again, this is a very champion-specific thing, but when you're kind of going from point A to point B, casting your E on yourself is just going to make you move a little bit quicker, and it's not a huge drain on your mana pool. Your W is pretty mana-intensive. Your E, especially early game, is not. Alright, so taking a look at the map here, drag is coming up, so we are sitting on a pink. Also, so she just picked up early CDR boots. Again, the gold from that kill benefited her pretty significantly. So having boots this early, this is 600. So picking up boots early is kind of, it's so early boots is high risk, high reward. Right, so the things that go up, you're roaming, which is huge. These particular boots, because they're CDR boots, she's Ionian Boots Lucidity. So that's extra CDR, which is something that Nami is going to thrive on. It's also, when she's in lane, it's going to make it easier for her to dodge hooks, which is also, again, their primary threat, right? Things that go down is if she is roaming, then she needs to roam efficiently. She needs to roam effectively, because what roaming is going to do is it's going to leave her ADC vulnerable. It's also going to make it harder, and it's going to potentially put her behind in XP. So that all depends on how she times her roams to the waves, right? And also how much XP she'd pick up on like a mid roam. Something that you'll also see see supports do sometimes is they'll reset into top. So it's also, it's also possible she roams topside. But with Dragon coming up, we know that she is a little bit more likely to look for mid lane here, or she's looking to move with her jungler to kind of play around this dragon. Oh, excuse me. Alright, so, yeah, boots, high risk, high reward. It also puts you 650 gold behind on picking up your mythic item. I believe this particular player goes Shirelia's this game, which was recently slightly adjusted, which I think it makes it pretty decent. Certainly much more viable than it was last patch. Alright. So, also keeping in mind that Thresh picked up boots as well. Thresh is kind of one of those like more prolific roaming supports. So, you know, most Thresh players are probably going to rush boots. We've also made the decision to drop a pink ward in our Tri-Brush, which is a decent choice. So, this is kind of like a safety ward, right? So, it's going to prevent someone from ganking from behind if you're pushed in. It's also going to keep someone from pathing through this bush to dive you, or even pathing this way to dive you. Again, considering that Thresh makes dives pretty safe, and also Echo is level 5 right now, so his R makes dives really safe. Lucian has a dash, again, really safe dives, and even so Malphite TP is down right now, but in like a hypothetical situation where it was not down, he's also down a lot. Yes. this matchup is pretty difficult for Malphite, especially early. So his TP is down, but in a theoretical world where it is not down and his R is up, again, lots of dive threat. So this is a safe ward. With Dragon coming up, if we did not have Scuttle, I would maybe recommend throwing the ward over into the pit as well. But safe ward. Alright. So, Echo is the only one with gold at this point in time. And again, our bot lane has gotten to the point where if Thresh Hook is down, we can bully them. Nami Varus, once they get rolling a little bit, is just a brutal, pokey lane. And Varus with Hail of Blades is going to be looking to play around short trades. Alright, there we go. They got the combo off. So, we'll go back, we'll slow it down a little bit, and we'll take a look at what they're doing. Here, we'll slow down to half speed. Alright, so, what we're looking at the moment. So, Thresh has done exactly what kind of his champion is meant to do. Varus flashes down. Nami flashes down. They're extremely vulnerable right now, both of them. Because again, extremely immobile champions. Doesn't matter that Jinx is also immobile, because again, consider the level of threat. So in this lane, Nami holds her bubble to use defensively, which is really important into Thresh. Varus manages to get hooked. So Nami's able to throw this kind of defensive bubble. Jinx being this far back now is, and with this much space between her and Varus now, is different than it was when we had the same situation about 3 minutes ago, because now we have Lantern. And so Lantern gives anyone a gap close. Alright? So Thresh is able to hook Flay, get a huge amount of damage off here, and Jinx is going to be able to throw her traps. So Varus is very, very stuck and very in danger at the moment. Alright, so this is a really nicely played bubble. Thresh is below half, so focusing him here is okay. Also his Aftershock is just, it's proccing right now. So if this was a lane where you were looking for, where Thresh is with an ADC who's looking for short trades, think like a Varus, you want to turn and you want to hit the Varus. Thresh being below half here, it's alright to continue to focus him. We are feeling like Varus is, granted he has heal up, also Thresh Ignite's about to come back online. So this is a pretty close fight. We are okay to focus Thresh in here, and we are going to get the kill off because we are, largely because Jinx is playing so far back, honestly. So it's okay to turn and take the kill off the Thresh here, and this is a really nicely played engagement. The other thing is, had Varus kind of panicked and stepped backwards into the traps, it was 100% certain death. So this ADC does a really good job playing this out really calmly. And they're able to further harass Jinx. They just don't want her to feel comfortable walking up to farm this wave. So we want to starve her of as much XP as possible. I'm going to skip ahead. Oh. Here, we'll close this. I'm going to skip ahead just a little bit. Alright. So, we're able to grab a plate here, which is good. Do we know where Echo is right now? And I know y'all can see him on the map at the moment. But when you step up this far, again, especially flashless, consider where their jungler is. And also, don't hit tower. Like, don't hang around to hit the tower if you aren't certain you can get something for it. So here they're able to pull a plate off of the tower, which is good. But if this was a different stage in the game, that was a full health tower, if they didn't have as much of a wave even, don't hit the tower unless you are certain you can get something out of it. Otherwise, you are just kind of wasting time on the map. So, something to consider. You're better off getting a reset in and making sure that you are staying on top of your tempo. So, we know Echo's here. Also, Thresh is back in lane. So it's going to be important that they back off, especially with Zen on Dragon. Knowing that Echo is kind of in the area, it's going to be important that they move over to make sure that Zen stays safe in taking this dragon. Unfortunately, I cannot tab to see how much gold they have. But now would be... Oh, there you go, total gold. Oh, it shows total, not current. Darn. So depending on how much gold they have here, with that wave in the tower and with Zen safe on Dragon, that would be a good time to look for a reset, but it also, again, is gold dependent. Also, in looking at just kind of gold values across the... gold values within the bot lane, excuse me. So Varus is about 700 gold up, but he probably has about 700 gold on his person. So it's also important to keep in mind that, like, how much gold you have is only going to be effective if you spend it. Alright, so Thresh, over and over again, is going to look to just kind of fish with his hook. That's his job. It's his job to create pressure, and if he's not standing somewhere where he needs to be creating pressure, so like here with the wave bouncing back out, it's safe for him to just kind of look to fish with his hook, especially if he's going to hit something. I'm actually gonna, again, slow this down, so we can take a look at what happens during this engagement. Okay, so what's particularly dangerous and well executed here is they're able to get their combo off in kind of the most effective way possible. So Nami turns around with the intent to get the Varus out. Now, in an ideal world, she would have kind of predicted where Thresh was going and dropped her bubble immediately, like she did the last time they skirmished like this. However, so Thresh is able to not only hook them, but also he is able to flay both into this set of traps right here. So we're in danger. Now, keeping in mind that, again, we know that Thresh Ignite is up, right? Varus has held his heal, and held a little bit too long. Now, the thing to keep in mind, especially as a support player, you need to drop your Ignite before they heal. As an AD carry player, you need to heal before they drop their ignite, so it's a bit of a waiting game, a bit of a guessing game. However, I would rather heal early and not have needed it than heal too late, not get the full effectiveness out of the heal, and die for it. The other thing about heal is it does grant the movement speed, so it can help if you need to make a bit of an escape. Now, this Nami bubble is really well placed, but the thing that we kind of fail to remember is that Jinx is running Cleanse. So we are going to shut the Varus down. This is a situation, so the last time we had a fight bot side, I talked about making sure that you continue to auto. And that's actually what Nami does manage to do this time. So support autos are important. I'm gonna write it in big letters. There we go. Support autos can win games. This is something that I see a lot of the time, is that supports are pretty focused on making sure that they're using their abilities a lot of the time, but especially if you're playing a ranged support. So especially if you're playing a ranged support, your autos can be game winning, and can be really important. They create a lot of pressure, and in this case, we're able to trade the Jinx kill because of it. Now, the thing that's dangerous about Jinx getting this shutdown, so Jinx picks up 300 plus another 150 from Varus shutdown. So this is an extra 450 gold for Jinx, who is a hyper carry. So this is a little bit dangerous. Again, with everything in the bot lane being a transaction, it's really important to consider kind of who's getting the gold here. Who's like really coming in big. Because yeah, it's 1-for-1, but it's 1-for-1. You're giving over a shutdown to a hyper carry, like hyper carry ADC. Varus is more of a utility champion, more of a utility ADC. So again, you're playing utility versus hyper carry. So Jinx is happy to take the trade kill here, is happy to 1-for-1, whereas Varus, who's ahead technically, is a little bit less happy in the 1-for-1. So again, it's a transaction. Again, please feel free to ask any questions in Twitch chat if you have them. Happy to answer them, and keep an eye on Twitch chat. Alright. So, and the other thing is that Nami is going to die for this. Okay, Nami should die for this. Thresh may be out of cooldowns. We can't see his cooldowns. He also doesn't know if he's chasing into Xin, which kind of in the long game he is. So, oh, he is chasing into, okay. So, this is about as sad as it can go for this poor Thresh player. This is about as sad as it can go for him. He fishes into the bush thinks he's finishing off a Nami and walks straight into Xin. So when you're chasing, when you're like kind of picking up the last of the kill, be mindful of where you're chasing to. Be mindful of what you're chasing into. Also, sometimes it's better to auto attack than it is to worry about casting your spells, especially if you're trying to finish off a kill like this. So if he was just to have been in range to right click this Nami instead of stopping to cast his spells, he would have been able to get the kill off here. But the fact that he takes the time to stop and cast his spells, he loses out on a lot of damage, and he walks into his death. Oh, that's so sick. Is he? He's still gonna get her, but he's gonna die for it. So he didn't need to die here. Also consider that an assisted kill is worth more net gold to your team than a solo kill is. So solo kills that aren't shutdowns and that are like kind of full gold that's 300 gold, right? But assisted is 300 gold plus 150 gold. So that's, again, 450 net for your team. So if it's a question of solo killing versus kills with assists, you know, we take the assisted kills. Solo killing is fun and feels cool, but kills with assists are worth more for your team overall. Alright, cool. I'm gonna stick it back on regular. It is 7.5 minutes into this game, and we've been talking about it for an hour and 20 minutes. Alright. So, we're taking a reset. We're going to take a minute to look at how items are just as everyone resets in the lane. So, Jinx has picked up attack speed boots with her pickaxe. That's alright. It's going to be pretty standard considering 1100 gold is like a weird back timer to have, and you know, it wouldn't have been a back timer that she likely would have chosen ideally, but seeing as she's coming off a death, that's fine. Also, she's been playing a pretty volatile, pretty dangerous lane, and attack speed on Jinx is quite good for her. Varus also finishes out his boots, so they are even in terms of move speed, which is fine. Varus has also picked up some, just like, he's picked up a decent amount of cooldown reduction for himself, which is cool. So, Thresh has actually gone... Oh, here, I'll pause for a sec, because we're fighting. So, Thresh has picked up armor boots. What are they? Plated steel caps and ninja tabbies. But it's fine. I digress. So, Thresh has picked up armor boots, which is going to make... pretty much, yeah, it's going to make their team comp overall less effective into him, because he's playing into a full AD comp. So champions like Malphite and Thresh, who are already fairly tanky, they're just going to start stacking armor this game. So it's kind of a risk that you take when you are playing a full AD comp into champions who are a little bit beefier. I'm going to back this up like 10, I'll back it up 10 seconds. Okay. So we are sitting on Nami R and Varus R, right? So these are two large CC abilities. They create a lot of pressure. Also, this is going to be the last thing that I go over because we've been talking for a while. So we'll go over this fight. I'll ask if y'all have any remaining questions, and then we'll close it out. But I digress. So we are sitting on two big CC ultimates at the moment. Jinx's cleanse is down. Jinx's flash is down just for a little bit longer. The cooldown was very similar to Varus's, but not entirely. The other thing is that Thresh flash is down. So, all things to keep in mind. Also, Jinx is still level 5. Thresh is still level 5. Also, Echo's off the map at the moment. And also, Zin's looking to reset. So this is possibly going to be a 2v2, possibly going to be a 3v2, again, depending on where Echo is. So, we'll see where we go. Alright. We'll slow it down. Alright. So, Varus is looking for chip damage ahead of time. Nami's also probably gonna... So, I don't know. So, Varus is looking for a little bit of chip damage ahead of time. He's looking to get that arrow to land. It does land onto the Jinx. So again, it takes, less for her to die at this point. Chip damage is really, really good for our Nami Varus lane because it'll put them in the range to just kind of blow them up once they're low enough. So we've managed to hit the Varus R on the Jinx here. I know it's kind of hard to see off to this side of the screen. So again, with our support and our AD not being in comms, it's a little bit harder because it would have been a lot easier to kind of pull this off if they had walked up together. It would also be a lot less dangerous. However, Nami's taking a second to get vision down to make sure that Echo is not collapsing. So we are able to get the follow-up CC off. It does manage to hit the priority target, but it's kind of more comedy of errors that it, well, comedy of errors are a good prediction. We'll leave that one up to y'all. But getting this wave to land here, it does allow them to finish Jinx. They also have enough damage to do it, which is ideal. So something to keep in mind also is that Nami Varus does have a lot of threat because Nami E does apply on Varus's arrow. So that's a really good chance to get that fight in before Jinx Thresh have their ultis available, and also while Jinx does not have cleanse. And yeah, they just have all the space in the world to pull more plates off this tower. And so they're already building a really solid gold lead in a lane that can be pretty volatile. Now, the thing about the volatility of this lane is that if Jinx gets fed at any point in this game, it is going to be a lot harder for them to play. And also, the longer this game goes on, the more danger that they do tend to be in as a full AD comp. So we have about 4 minutes left. We've talked about the first 10-ish minutes of this game. Now I've talked through a lot of stuff. Does anyone have questions, either about support things, about anything I've talked about today, about any of the tools that I recommend? Is there anything that I can help y'all with? Alright, friends. Here, I'll leave y'all a little bit more time to type and consider any questions you may have. I'll let this run for a little bit longer. So I think we're looking, so we're looking to bush cheese just a little bit. We're looking for a Thresh to kind of walk up out of this bush. But also, again, we know that Echo's hovering bot side. Jinx is back in lane, and we don't have ultis back up, so it makes this fight a little bit more volatile. And also considering that Echo is up a significant amount of XP from Xin, Echo becomes a huge threat this game. So another thing to consider. We don't have ults. They did not drop summoners in the last fight. But not having ults kind of does take a lot of the power out of this lane. So, Varus ult coming back up because he does have a decent amount of ability haste. So we are able to turn this one pretty well, but these fights can be extremely volatile with the very ahead Echo. But I'll give my outro now because it is time, my friends. It's been an hour and a half to go over 10 minutes of early game, but that's alright. There's a lot of interesting things happening in these games. So I'd like to thank y'all for hanging out. Thank y'all for watching and VOD reviewing with me. I certainly do appreciate it. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Please remember to stretch your wrists and drink some water and be kind to yourselves, and maybe go outside and touch some grass if you can effectively and safely. I appreciate you all so much for joining me, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye, friends.